Shubor naga Slem jong unong san Hima.
Still, sir, you have to go by the rule.
Sir,
we are not allowed as member to speak, to give a lengthy speech.
I'm allowing the Chief Minister to complete his reply.
Thank you, sir.
We are not allowed to give long speech, sir. In fact, we are restrained with 10 minutes and 5 minutes time, sir.
So the
I think that is clear. The record is there.
These are all matters connected.
U MLA kanongkram constituency ubadeiru u president ka VPP uba Ardent merba Simon ulayeng ban kini Ktien haba menteri rangba ka sarkar jila ukanrat sangma udang Jubab ya ka short duration discussion balawanra adu MLA ka VPP na moring kneng constituency uba Havingstone Kharpran ban yakren halor ka Jingtyrwa ka sarkar jila ban Pynkylla ka Klau sarkar Shakijaka ki karkhana Habyrnihat haba ukanrat ula Jubab uba Ardent ulayeng ban kini Ktien dak ba ong ba ula Jubab Slem palat namarkan kata ya kapor tila da ukanrat usngau khya ya ka land transfer act kikloi banyatainya henry ulam phang shamna ngap ula aila di ukanrat sangma banyat bet ka Jubab ya kani ka short duration discussion lashimenta da uba Ardent basayamot UMLA ka jirang constituency uba sastana suatun UMLA ka Mausanram constituency uba Olan Singsun bat kiwe
for allowing me to raise this short duration discussion under Rule 50, Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business on matter relating to discuss on the proposed conversion of forest land into industrial estate in Habyrnihat at the State Government. So, while we talk about the need for industrial growth and economic expansion, sir, it is really important to strike the balance between environment and development. They are saying that development and environment should go hand in hand. Sir, the proposed land at Habyrnihat is a green cover and playing a key role in soil and water conservation and air purification. So when we talk about air purification, that means the leaves take all the carbon dioxide gases and keeping out oxygen during the process of photosynthesis. This helps in maintaining the ecological balance. So you remember that every year during 5th June, at the World Environment Day, everybody is taking part in tree planting drive. And the Forest Department and the Soil and Water Conservation Department used to plant number of trees every year. So, sir, we need to protect Habyrnihat, which has now labeled as, if not the dirtiest one, but as one, maybe as one of the dirtiest places in India, with an air quality index of 92, according to Central Pollution Board. The air pollution level have become hazardous, especially for children, the elderly people, the sick people. So if you allow large-scale differentiation for the sake of industrialization in environmentally sensitive areas, we risk everything where pollution threatens our health and well-being of our people. Sir, if we should have enough trees, so we experience the global warming also, and there will be also effect on the depletion of ozone layer. It will also affect the hydrological cycle. So there will be climate change. So, sir, if we cut the trees, there will be not only air pollution, but there will also be water pollution and soil pollution. So the water, we should make water work. If no more trees, there will be more runoff and less infiltration. So we are saying that we should think globally, act locally. I remember when the Prime Minister Vajpayee, the former Prime Minister of India, when he visited Shillong in 2001, he said, I quote, this land is fit for God to live in. So we are proud to hear such words from the former Prime Minister. Why he said so? Because when he look at our beautiful state, he saw trees everywhere. Our state is very rich in flora and fauna and some other natural resources, sir. So my key concerns here, sir, number one, that whether this environmental impact assessment has been done to assess the long-term consequences of this proposed project. Number two, sir, whether the local community has been consulted before taking any decisions. Another point, sir, if at all we are not opposing the industrial development in our state, but if at all the government want to explore taking up this industrial development in our state, they should explore the alternative location for industrial development in the degraded land or wasteland. Sir, in the land capability classification, there are 8 classes. If the government want to take this industrial development, should take in the class 7 or 8 land. That is more or less the degraded land or wasteland. So Habyrnihat, with its already existing industrial base, could be further strengthened with improved infrastructure rather than creating more industries in this area, sir. Lastly, sir, commitment to sustainable development. If industries are to be set up anywhere in the state, will the government mandate strict environmental regulations such as pollution control measures and clean energy adoption? Sir, I urge the Honorable Chief Minister to reconsider this proposal and ensure that the industrial development plan does not compromise with the environmental integrity of Habyrnihat. With these few words, sir, I resume my seat. Thank you, sir.
Please, in charge to reply, please. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so thank you for allowing me also to participate in this short duration raised by your MLA representing Modern Knieh constituency. So, in fact, as the party, we had already flagged our concern when it comes to this issue. We had submitted a letter to the Chief Minister on the 24th July 2024. So, however, sir, till today, we have not received any information, though the Chief Minister has launched the CM Connect schemes, but it seems that our Chief Minister chooses to disconnect with the voice of the People Party, where we are not given the chance to meet and discuss on this issue. And we have raised many concerns on this letter that we have written to him. We have raised a concern about the environmental impact, where there will be a depletion of forest cover in that area. We have raised a concern about the existing pollution levels and also the undermining agriculture and conservation efforts, credibility concern, and the potential for misuse. These are the concerns that we have raised in our letter to the Chief Minister. But, sir, it seems that because after we made a spot inspection to this site from the Voice of the People Party, we are made to understand that the government seems to carry out this project surreptitiously, quietly, just asking the staff to leave the premises. And we are also told that the government is going to take over even the land adjacent to that CTI, Conservation Training Institute at Habyrnihat. So, as we had already discussed about the existing pollution levels, on the other day, the local MLA had raised this issue in this August House, and our Honorable Chief Minister has replied, expressing the problems since that area is also in the border area with Assam, where pollution is not coming only from Meghalaya side, but also from many industries that are coming from the Assam side. But, sir, since we know that this is a very serious issue, I think that should not be the reason that why we can't improve the environment in that area. We know that there is a provision in the Constitution of India, Article 263, a provision with respect to an interstate council. And let me read out this article, sir. If at any time it appears to the President that the public interest would be served by the establishment of a council charged with the duty inquiring into and advising upon disputes which may have arisen between states, b, investigating and discussing subjects in which some or all the states or the Union and one or more of the states have a common interest. So, sir, I think there has to be a common interest between Assam and Meghalaya as far as the quality of environment in that particular area is concerned. So, and we know that under this article, a Sarkaria Commission on Interstate Council was also established in 1990. So, I would advise our Chief Minister to make use of this council to engage with the Assam counterpart, how to improve the environment in that area. Because to establish more industries in an already most polluted area in India would be a disaster to the people living in that area. So let me also remind this house that the people living in those areas, many villages have come together protesting the intent of the government to establish industries in that area. We had gone deep inside that area. We could see the difference between the main road and the kind of an environment deep inside that area. And there are many large number of trees. So if the government is to convert that area into an industrial estate, we could easily understand that the government will have to cut the entire hills, because industries cannot be set up in that kind of a situation, sir, in the kind of the topography that is there. So therefore we feel that this matter should be resolved, and as we are not against development, we would like to see development, but not at the cost of the environment and the safety of the people living in that area, sir. So therefore, sir, I joined the mover and strongly support, and I hope that the government will find an alternative place. Please save that area and also the area of belonging to the horticulture. And it will come to more than 4,000 acres of land. So that is a huge land, sir, because if we are to help the people living in that particular area. So with these few words, sir, I resume my seat.
For allowing me to take part in the short duration discussion under Rule 50 of the Rules of Conduct of Business raised by the Honorable MLA of Maureen Knieh, Shri Having Stone Karpran. So, as yesterday I've already raised the call attention notice with regards to the pollution in our area, Habyrnihat. So I stand here. Thank you, sir, for allowing me to participate in this short duration discussion. Before I could raise some issues, I would like to thank the government for the idea, or rather appreciate the government for the idea of setting up of non-polluting industries that will create more employment. But at the same time, I would stand with the people, sir, because people in our areas, when the words industries utter, it makes fear, psychosis, like polluting or pollution that will come out of any industries that will be set up there in our area. So the deforestation, which leads to the soil erosion, which has affected the the stream which get accumulated along the river adjacent with the Soil Conservation Training Institute and the Ampere village, where St. Jude School is situated. And in many occasions, in the rainy season, that particular school, the school authorities, they will face a big problem due to heavy flood which happened during the rainy season. And from the school authorities, they have from time to time given the complaints, and not only to me, to the deputy commissioner, and in fact to our honorable chief minister also, regarding the complaints about the flood which happened during the rainy season. So for these reasons, people of that area, they are very much afraid, because it may create more and more problems. And my suggestion, sir, to the government, to please take the confidence of the people before moving ahead with this projects and plans, or rather shifting the project to some other places. That would be better, because as information that I am getting, there are other parties who have only offered lands for free of cost for any particular projects that the government is intent to for setting up of non-polluting units for the betterment and employment of the people. So with only these few submissions, sir, I resume my seat. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Mukul Sangma.
I rise to participate in this short duration discussion and would like to make a brief submission. Now this discussion is pertaining to the proposed conversion of forest land into an industrial estate in Habyrnihat by the state government. We are aware of the fact that we already have industrial estate in Habyrnihat, and I think even if we look at how the state has benefited out of that, we already know how exactly further investment in that particular area can bring about, if it is at the cost of certain important areas where we tend not to compromise, or rather not to go at the cost of certain aspect. In this particular instant case, it is about preservation, conservation of forest. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, when we talk about forest land, ours is a very different situation in respect of forest ownership. We have community forest, we have private forest, we have government reserve forest. We also have district council reserve forest. So I think it is only important for us to know and refresh our mind that we have all collectively put our efforts together to see the kind of forest coverage in the state over the years and reach the current status of forest coverage thus far. And the state has been appreciated to a great extent because of ever increasing forest coverage that the state could achieve. Hats off to the people also, because they took up various other personal interventions like horticulture, farming, etc., etc. Honorable Deputy Speaker himself must have planted how many trees? It's a matter to be appreciated. So many contributions from all the stakeholders have enabled the state to have the kind of forest coverage. And as government, we must also remember the fact that on a number of occasions, successive governments have also pleaded our case as a state to take cognizance of this important contribution by the state and the people of the state towards the environment and then forest coverage and the environment of the, in fact, every contribution to forest coverage and environment is to be appreciated, not at the level of state only, but at the national level, at the global scale. Because little drop of water make a mighty ocean. So every contribution matter. Therefore, we pleaded our case that let the state receive some kind of appreciation and let it be remunerative. All this endeavor of the state and the people must be remunerative. And we were able to prevail upon Finance Commission. And if we go back and reconnect ourselves with various other awards and recommendations of Finance Commission in the preceding decades, we have been able to get that kind of dividends from this achievement. It is a department which is manned by specific dedicated all India services and also the state cadres. So therefore, this is an area where we have achieved something, and therefore the state must be really looking at how we brand ourselves as a very special state where collectively we have achieved this. Now here it is a question of using a forest land into industrial estate. I would appreciate the submission made by the Honorable Local MLA himself, Basotun, because I think we should appreciate the fact that he's speaking on behalf of people who happens to be in that particular constituency. And also, we as members of this August House represent the desire and intent and concern of the people. Now here, another aspect I just like to take and invoke a process of thinking to the government is, now this reserve forest, government reserve forest, and the state, your district council reserve forest, private forest, community forest, these are renewable sources of income. We plant trees, we must be able to harvest and get return. It becomes attractive. It is not like mineral that once we do mining, it will not be, the question of how we look at the assets and the sources of income. I remember many of our senior leaders in this August House very eloquently articulating about how to help the community so that forest can be a source of sustainable income. Because we cut the tree and we plant, if we cut one tree, we plant many more trees because it is remunerative. But in the instant case, what is happening is that I think we need to look at to support the community also and to see that all the state government reserve forests which are under the command of the state forest department must be protected, and in the instant case, this forest land also must be protected and preserved. And to see that all the state government reserve forests which are under the command of the state forest department must be protected, and in the instant case, this forest land also must be protected and preserved, since there is an alternative. I also would like to express concern because some people were whispering to me, these areas, forest land, beautiful areas, is the government intending to look at the possibility of transferring these areas for attracting investment, wherein other investment, mode of investment against which people are protesting will be encouraged. We may recollect that there was a strong protest about the proposal of the government to allow casinos, gambling in the state. So there is a question posed by people, and that is the only precise reason why I am participating in this short duration discussion. In the name of investment, when we have this land bank, let this investment not be designed in such a way which should go against the desire of the people and will of the people. I think this particular concern has been very elaborately articulated by people across the state, including political parties. Therefore, we must always keep in mind when we try to attract investment, let us not look at those areas of investment which will go against the core values which is close and dear to the heart of our people. So with these few words, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I want to know also a categorical assurance from the government, all these investment strategies where government is acquiring land shall not be used for those kind of investment against which the people of Meghalaya have very loudly spoken and have eloquently articulated to draw the attention of the government. And I remember before the election 2023, the government also have assured that these particular proposals of investment will not be those kind of investment which will be encouraged in the state. So I think these also need to be addressed by the government. We should have a categorical reply and assurance in this regard as well, Mr. Speaker.
Or Honorable MLA from Jirang has raised more or less the relevant issues which I could have participated, but I could not. When we talk about this forest, about the pollution, we talk about the three types of pollution, sir. The air pollution, the land pollution, and the water pollution. When we talk about the air pollution, I think we are all aware that we are all here taking in oxygen, not only from the oxygen produced from the green trees from the surrounding. Maybe the oxygen, because oxygen gas has no barriers to go anywhere. Maybe we are taking in oxygen from my area, maybe from Nongpo area, maybe from Pakistan, we don't know. So when I talk, it is a broad subject, sir. It is like we are discussing about the greenhouses and the greenhouse gases effect. Let's see especially let me refer to the Ribhoy Industrial Estate as already mentioned here. In the last 1 year, we have visited this industrial estate at Habyrnihat. I have seen that so many water pollution, because water, we know, it's a very indispensable solvent that last many years ago, this Habyrnihat river, many people from Shillong, they went for fishing in the Habyrnihat river, because that time, that river was quite fit for the aquatic to live in. But now, due to the pollutants, this water also undergoes many changes. It becomes toxic, not fit for human consumption, maybe not fit for the fish to live in there. So, this angle we have to be very careful. Why the air pollution contributed to the land pollution and the water pollution? We have seen also in the industrial estate, they have got the flying ash. Of course, they are spraying with the sprinkler to suppress the flying ash. But this flying ash settled down on the earth crust. So when rain comes, due to runoff, these will convey the inert materials to the river, and therefore make the river toxic, making all the living things unfit to stay there. And when we talk about the carbon dioxide, we also produce carbon dioxide. Industry also produce big volumes of carbon dioxide. And who will take in this carbon dioxide? It is the green forest, the leaves that can take in the carbon dioxide. Because if we destroy the forest, the atmospheric carbon dioxide may come down, because this carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen. They may come down, and we human beings will inhale the carbon dioxide mostly instead of oxygen. Therefore, it is hazardous. But it is not to say that because of the destruction of forests due to industrial estate development at Ribhoy district, we cannot get oxygen. Oxygen can fill in from anywhere. But however, it is more hazardous to the people living in that area. Therefore, destruction and construction go side by side. We cannot stay without food, but we cannot afford to live to loss of health. So, I think I will not speak so much Only these few submissions, sir. Thank you.
At the very outset, I would like to thank the Honourable Member, Shri Livingstone Kharpran, Honourable Member from Knieh, for having tabled this short duration discussion. I also would like to thank Honourable MLA from Nongkrem, Honourable Leader of Opposition, Honourable MLA from Mosungram, for having participated in this short duration discussion. Sir, in fact, I'm very happy that this short duration discussion has come up. And it is in fact an opportunity for me to clarify so many misconceptions that are prevailing regarding this project, and also to clarify the stand of the government on not only this project but also larger aspect of how the government plans to work in the future, and many other issues and concerns that other members, I'm sorry, our local MLA, Sostenes Sotun, also had participated. I forgot to mention his name earlier. Thank you for your participation. Being a local MLA, it is obviously of a major concern to him. And I have noted down all the points that he has mentioned. So let me start by clarifying one basic misconception. The members have all mentioned, including the mover, that forest land is being converted into industrial estate in Habyrnihat. So the first misconception is, this is not a forest land. It is not a recorded forest land, sir. It is not in the records of the government. And hence, the first point in itself, that this is a forest land, is completely incorrect. As per our records as of today, the records clearly mention this is not a forest land. It is not in the record of the government. So let me please clarify that once. So everybody's thinking that it's a forest land is now going to be converted into industrial. It is not a recorded forest land, sir. I want to repeat it one more time. Number two, I would like to share that it is not that we just take this particular land and tomorrow itself the industry start. No, sir. The only process that we have started as of now is to transfer this land from the Soil Conservation and the Horticulture Department to the government. That is all. Nothing beyond that as of now. And the reason why we're doing that is because this particular land is currently having some activity related to horticulture and some training programs. If I'm not wrong, there are 2 or 3 programs of training going on. And as a government, we felt that this land, based on its location, is being underutilized. There is much more we can do with that land. And hence, we have decided only one thing, which is that this land should be given back to the government, which is within the department. It's just interdepartmental kind of a movement. And these other departments will be then given a separate land in some other part of the state, so that they are compensated for this land which is being given to the government. That's the second misconception I wanted to clear. So we are only transferring the land as of now. Third, sir, the total size of this land is not thousands of acres as mentioned. It is precisely 137 acres. 127 acres of the soil conservation and 10 acres of horticulture. So it's a 137 acre land, not, as I said, thousands of acres as was being mentioned. So with this basic background, that number one, it is not a recorded forest land. So I think the question of us mentioning again and again forest land being transferred for industries, forest land being transferred in industries, is the first misconception that I would like to clarify. Second point, as I said, which I want to clarify, is a point that this is, as of now, a transfer of government land to government land. So from one department to another department, and the department from whom the land is being taken is going to be compensated by being given a land somewhere else. And we're doing it basically because this land has much more value and is underutilized, and it can be utilized in a much more better manner. And third, as I said, the land size is 137 acres. So with this background, I would like to now touch on some of the concerns and issues that have been mentioned. Sir, yesterday or day before yesterday, I can't remember, but when the Honorable MLA from Habyrnihat had brought out this issue of the pollution in, MLA from Jirang had brought out the issue of pollution in Habyrnihat. Sir, I had mentioned in my reply that all the records that have been shown in different newspaper clippings were records that were taken by the Assam monitoring station, which came out with the numbers and showed very poor AQI. Whereas the Meghalaya, when we looked at our stations and our equipments that we placed, in the month of January, the same period, 2025 January, our readings have shown that the areas, 3 locations in those areas where we have stations, showed satisfactory and moderate in the EPIP section. So I want to clarify this also, that yes, we obviously would want to make sure that the air quality is the best possible for our citizens. But all I'm trying to clarify right now, sir, is that the very poor index that we keep referring to is from the Assam station. Whereas we don't refer to the readings from our own station. And our own station readings, I have mentioned yesterday, says satisfactory, and in one location it says moderate. So it is not very poor as being mentioned. We are following the Assam station. I guess since we have our own stations, we should look at our own stations. But yes, is the pollution an issue? It is an issue. We must not ignore it. And we must not just simply go by this and say, well, everything is okay. Absolutely not. But I just want to clarify the misconception in one way that it's very poor, but that's because Assam stations showed that. But our stations have given a different figure, and I would like to stick with ours, and we would want to make this obviously from satisfactory to good, and if possible, very good also. Sir, in regards of the land itself, just want to share with you that 55.9% of the land is degraded shrub land. So honorable member who had raised this had brought a point that why don't we go for shrub land, wasteland. So I'm happy to share with the honorable member that 55% of this training institute, I'm talking about the detailed use of the land there. So about the training institute in the CTI section, about close to 55.9% within just the Conservation Training Institute. I'm not talking about the entire 137, but the Training Institute, which is about 71 acres, about half of that. There is about 40 hectares of land, which is degraded land, which is 55% of that Conservation Training Institute. So for any project that we would move forward with in the future, so would require us to then do the environmental impact assessment, take the CTE, CTO, and all other procedures will need to be followed case-to-case basis. So therefore, the question of us doing a impact assessment or a environment impact assessment doesn't arise now, because right now we are only transferring the land from one department to the other. So therefore, we have not done that. We are definitely going to do that as and when, case-to-case basis, we move forward, if so, for any other project that we take up in the future. So regarding the issue that was mentioned by the Honorable Local MLA, I had visited the school myself. I spoke to the engineers after they complained to me about the water logging. There is a slight technical issue. The level of the land where the school is below the road level. And hence we find the stream which is on the other side, when it overflows, it goes over from the road and then flows into the school. It's a big problem for the school. There's no doubt about it. And definitely we are trying to see, it's a slightly engineering kind of a challenge, because as I said, it's at a lower level compared to the road level, and it'll require a big intervention for us to be able to resolve that, but we will do our best to look into it. So keeping in mind the future, and in a case and scenario where maybe if we do go ahead with different projects, sir, every aspect of water logging or movement of the water or drainage to be prepared, all of these technical aspects will be taken into consideration. Because we had an intention, and we still have an intention, to make this particular area into kind of a state-of-the-art kind of industrial estate. We want it to be very, very high standards from all angles. As I mentioned in the opening remarks, this is a very, very prime location. And the land which is lying there is being underutilized. And hence we desire to utilize it in a much more better manner. And in whatever scenario we move forward with, we will ensure that, number one, all the provisions of the law in terms of environmental aspect, in terms of planting of trees, this is not a forest land, so the question of us going under the Forest Act does not apply. So, but wherever the necessary aspects of growing of trees or other things environmentally which needs to be done, obviously will be done. All aspects of the water flow, of the road connectivity around that place, all of this will be planned in a very, very professional and technical manner. And the idea will be to make this into a state-of-the-art kind of an industrial estate. So therefore, sir, the question of us bypassing or flaunting any laws related to whether national highway, whether environment, or any other aspect does not arise. Sir, a very important point which I would like to mention today, and I've been mentioning, of course, in the past few days also. Sir, our government has always been very, very clear. We want to do many things. We believe in taking our state forward. But we have been clear that it will always be with the consent of our people. We will always take our people on board. We have shown and demonstrated in the past that this government has the will to even come back on decisions based on the desire of the people. There were so many decisions we took in the larger interest. We wanted revenues to grow. So we decided that, yes, maybe we should have the Gaming Act. We expected revenues maybe to the tune of 500 to 1,000 crores, which could then be invested for larger development. And we could find ways in which we would be able to restrict the participation of our own people by ensuring that these kind of things and activities would be very far away and closer towards the border where the market is available. And we would be able to create a win-win situation. We did it with a good intention, with the intention to increase the revenue. But we realized that people's sentiments were not there with us. We realized that people were concerned that what other impacts it could have. And we realized that we were not ready to move into that area. So we took that bold decision. We were humble. We didn't worry about how it would hurt our ego. Because it is the will of the people that is most important to us. We listened to the will of the people. We listened to their concerns. And that's a great example of how this government works. And even in this project, it is going to be the will of the people. We are going to take the people on board. We are going to consult them. We will show them the good side of these projects. There is no question of bulldozing and going against the will of the people. We are here to serve the people of the state, sir. It's not about whether Chief Minister is right or he is wrong. What is important is the larger good of our people and our state. And that is what drives us to work, sir. Sir, in this project, we had a desire to start the large bottling unit. 300 crore investment would create 500 jobs. We faced challenges. Ultimately, the investors decided that they will shift the investment to Mendipata. In the same area, there's a large investment of close to 700 crores, which we are working for the last 1 year, for areas of bamboo processing. But again, we are facing challenges. And now this project is going to Pynkylla, where we'll be setting up the 700 crore investment. So we are, as suggested by honorable members, we are not just confining ourselves to one location. We're taking the suggestions in a positive manner. Again, listening to the will of our people, our members, and expanding the areas. I was speaking to our member from Karkutta, Mr. Rupert. He was telling me that he would like to put up an industrial estate in Adokri. Because after the 4-laning comes up there, it will be a matter of just 45 minutes drive from Adokri industrial area to Guwahati airport and to main Guwahati city. A very, very good location for setting up large-scale industries. In fact, we are just finalizing on few areas of food processing, like banana as well as pineapple, because this area is very rich in it. So yes, sir, we are not just simply allowing ourselves to be, fixed and be stubborn and say it has to happen here. Absolutely not, sir. We desire, the companies desire, but we are giving options to them and they're choosing whichever option that they like, sir. So we have options. We will never force. We are given options of 2, so about 1,000 crores investment have just been finalized, and we are hopeful that this thing should move very fast. So we are doing, sir. We are keeping options open and we are allowing things. There's a pharmaceutical company that wants to put up a local pharmaceutical unit out here to produce generic medicine using high-end technology brought in from Switzerland and European nations. And they wanted to set up the industry here. And this would then provide the very important medicine at very, very low rate to the people of our state and the entire northeast region. And a small area of 5 acres was required for this. And this would involve our BE Pharma and masters in pharma. Close to about 30 of them would be employed in this location. And now again, this project, most probably, because of the not availability of land, we have shown them place in Mendipatar. We are hopeful that this will also close out there. So we are moving forward. But I just wanted to share that we are giving the options. We are allowing the investors to come and see. We have a small window. We have huge challenges from neighboring states who are offering much more to different large industries. And so we have to compete. So we cannot be made to look as if these issues are coming up too much in front. So I have a lot of challenge, sir. Because for them, it's a matter of second they'll decide, we're going to go to Assam or we'll go to Arunachal Pradesh. There's no reason for them to just be in Meghalaya. So these challenges are there, sir. But as I said, at the end of the day, we have to realize that while we do take care of these issues, I am not saying that these issues are not important. Absolutely, they're important. Absolutely. Is there any question of bulldozing? No question of bulldozing. No question. Any question of bypassing the local people? Absolutely not. No question of bypassing anybody, sir. But we need to find a way forward. That is all I'm saying. We need to find a way forward. We have to find options. We have to find solutions. If there are issues and challenges, as I said, we're ready to discuss and to share and to address concerns. And this is a great opportunity, as I said, for me to share that. That's why in the beginning I said, sir, I'm happy that this short duration discussion has come up, because this has allowed me to really clarify on so many important aspects. So, sir, we are continuing our efforts. We will continue to engage with the local leadership. He's a good friend of mine. He calls me even at 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes when there's a problem in the constituency. And I am with him, sir. I am with him in the concerns that he has for his people. I am with the people of that area and the concerns that they have. And I want to give assurance that we will move forward only with the consent of the local people and with the consent of the local leaders. I assure that, sir. But I also urge and encourage to have an open mind, to understand the overall larger picture of what we are trying to do out here. And walk and talk and find a way if there can be a meeting point where your concerns also are addressed. And we also as a state don't lose out the opportunity of these large investments and the job and creation and employment that we can get, and the different benefits of the different products that the people of the state will get. And I think it's important, sir, we all look at it from that larger picture. I've always mentioned, even yesterday, in fact, I was mentioning, because in the governor's debate, there was an issue and a question about unemployment. And I started by my reply by saying that this entire governor's address, the entire budget exercise is to create employment. That is the crux of everything that we're doing, sir. Period. That is what is driving us. How many jobs can we create for our youngsters? That is really what it is. And that one focal point then allows us to do multiple activities and then link up, whether it's skills, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it is tourism, whether it's IT, so on and so forth. And therefore, what we're doing today with the investment promotion policy is exactly this, sir. There's a concern by many people about the fact that we will be simply giving away land to the private sector and we will be bypassing the Land Transfer Act. Sir, there is no question, I want to make it clear on the floor of the House, there is no question of bypassing the Land Transfer Act. The Meghalaya Investment Promotion Agency will never bypass the Land Transfer Act. It is one of the most important acts that we have. It is one of the acts that has protected our people for years. And there is no way in which an agency can overrule an act that has been passed by this House. So let it be clear that there is no question of the Land Transfer Act being bypassed by the Meghalaya Investment Promotion Agency. The procedures that have been followed in the past, whether it is through the MIDC, whether it is through MTDC, whether it is through other government agencies that are there, MECL, it is the same provisions that will be followed by MIPA, nothing new. So the question of MIPA getting, the Meghalaya Investment Promotion Agency getting special powers does not arise. Why we did it? We did it because we realized that the single window is an industries department based nodal agency, focusing more on general industries that are there. But in today's world, people want to invest in a new hospital. In fact, we are having a beautiful hospital coming up in Khanapara side. Now, industries department doesn't have any clue, with due respect, about what requires for a medical hospital to come up, what criteria are there, what kind of standards to be followed. So, is the single window competent enough to do that? Well, maybe not. Tomorrow there are so many people who want to set up private colleges and universities, want to invest hundreds of crores. Where do they go? If they go to industries department, again with due respect, what are the standards to be followed? What are the different yardsticks that are there? Industries department may not have the necessary information. Yes, we can call the education department, we can send the file to them, we can do all of these things, but government cannot work like that. Government requires an institutionalization of systems. Things that will follow a process so that there is an ease of doing business. If tomorrow somebody wants to put up a big processing unit, agriculture department needs to be involved, horticulture, food processing needs to be involved, so on and so forth. So today we are having large investments in sports. Very happy to inform that the Northeast United will be setting up one of the best residential football academies right here in Shillong. Large investment will be made by them. Now for them to process this, how do they process it? So it is with that intention, only to streamline this, because again, sir, I want to go back to the budget speech yesterday. If you remember my first point, which I mentioned, the 10 opportunities. The first one was private investment. And I mentioned that the private investment will require $1 billion to be invested. That's about 8,000 crores plus. Now we have that goal. But to answer, sir, I'm replying, sir. This is not correct, sir. You don't disturb when others are replying.
What is your point of order?
On the Rule 300 and Rule 52, sir. No formal motion. There shall be no formal motion before the House nor voting. The member who has given notice may make a short statement and the minister shall reply shortly. So, sir, I think we had also submitted an amendment regarding that amendment brought by the government as far as the issue of Land Transfer Act is concerned. We will discuss, sir. We are ready to debate and discuss, but now we have to go by the rules, sir, because he has taken too much time on this.
Sir,
duration, sir.
It is my responsibility.
If we are to go by the rules, sir, the rule speaks out clearly that the minister shall reply shortly. We are not allowed to speak, to give a lengthy speech.
Sir, there were 5-6 people who participated.
Still, sir, you have to go by the rule.
Sir,
we are not allowed as member to speak, to give a lengthy speech.
I'm allowing the Chief Minister to complete his reply.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I may put this to the knowledge of the members. When it comes to them bringing out issues, they can take as much time as they want. But when we have to reply to it, they don't want to listen to reply. This is not the way, sir. House works.
We are not allowed
I am giving the
to give long speech,
reply.
sir. In fact, we are restrained with 10 minutes and 5 minutes time, sir.
So the
I think that is
clarity
clear.
with
The
which
record
I have
is
to
there.
reply. These are all matters connected.
You may continue with your reply.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So therefore, the aspect of, and so why I'm connecting to this is because I need to explain that why we are going for this industrial zone and why we want it to come up. We want it to come up because we have to achieve all these things that we're doing. It's just not a decision we take one morning and say, let us take this land and convert it into industrial estate. No. It's part of a larger strategy for us to be able to achieve that goal, to be able to take our state to an 85,000 crore economy, create the 5 lakh jobs that we have promised. That is what I'm trying to explain, sir. So anyway, I will conclude, sir. I think the honorable members, as I mentioned, are more interested in only mentioning their points, but they don't have the patience to listen to the reply. I have nothing to say, sir. So I will clarify only a few more last points, sir, that when it comes to the MIPA, we have brought in this agency only to facilitate and promote the entire aspect of investment in the state, sir. And therefore, the question of us bypassing the public, bypassing the local leaders, bypassing our laws that have been laid decades back does not arise, is what my point was. MIPA is simply there to facilitate, and they will follow the same yardstick, the same rules, the same policies that have been followed in the past many, many years and decades by government agencies like MIDC, like MTDC, and so on and so forth, sir. So therefore, I would like to make that very, very important clarification. Honorable member has raised concerns about the overall air quality and water quality. I have replied yesterday that we have been conducting surprise checks many times. In fact, just in the last 3 months, almost 4 to 5 surprise checks have been done. They will continue. In fact, I will be making them more aggressive, let me assure you, because I am very, very particular about this myself. I will just tell you and share with you that I had given a call. I don't know if our our principal secretary is there or not, but I called up my principal secretary at 11:30 in the night and told him, I want you to go tomorrow night itself, quietly, to Habyrnihat and check for yourself whether the standards are being met or not. Don't even inform the chairman or any officers. It's just between you and me. And only the last moment he informed them and took them, and that's how we closed down 4 or 5 units out there by doing this surprise check. That is the kind of commitment that we are showing, sir. And we will continue to do it. We will continue to do it. And therefore, let me again assure all the members who have raised this issue, especially the remover of this short discussion, and especially my dear friend Basotun, who is the local MLA, who was very concerned. He brought the local people to me. He brought the local villagers out there and all the people, and they have expressed their concerns. Sir, I am also concerned, and I can assure them that only when we show the plans to them, we show the details to them, and only when the people feel that yes, we are comfortable with this plan, and then we can move forward, will we move forward. So that assurance I'm giving the honorable member and the people of Habyrnihat in Jirang constituency and the people of the state at large. For us, it doesn't make any sense to bulldoze and do the things that are against the will of the people, sir. And therefore, once again thanking the honorable member for giving me this opportunity. So I look at it as an opportunity. I really was able to clarify so many misconceptions and so many areas. So I was very happy when this particular short duration came out. And I urge members to please come out with more such short duration discussions, because it allows us to clarify so many things that the people sometimes are misunderstanding. So with these few words, sir, I once again thank the mover and the participants for bringing this particular short duration discussion. And with this clarification, I resume my